United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
We have any statements and citizen statements and petitions? Gentlemen from the Brothers of the Brush, have anything that you want to say or? Okay, you're on the agenda for the licenses and, okay, all right. Is Lonnie Tinio on?
I don't see him yet.
Okay,
Oh, there he is. Mention his name and look.
yeah.
Pops up.
Citizen statements and petitions. Lonnie Tinio, do you have something that you want to talk about? Is he muted?
Lonnie, you're on mute.
Here he comes.
Hey,
Sorry, everybody. Just trying to get my headphones to work. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My service isn't that great.
You sound okay.
Just wanted to give a quick update. Just that Rock the Block is September 9th. Like to ask to maybe jump on a future meeting on your agenda just to go over details. I did speak just details about the event, and also I had emailed Chairman Raleigh and Chief Kersey as well. I'll get with the chief ahead of time so we can talk about staffing for the police department. Last year, however they did it went well. There was really no issues at all anyhow, but just wanted to, get the word out that it is September 9th, same place, same time. We're adding a little bit of items to the event this year. We're going to have more vendors to, out in the area between the two fields there. A little bit change of lineup in the bands. We're still going to end with the Peach Eaters at the end of the night. And we're just nailing down the other two bands that I'll have information for at the next meeting. And parking is going to be the same. We got the same shuttle buses. We're still Rich Schofield is going to have the historic tour bus again. That was a big hit, so they're running that again. And everything's just kind of moving along swimmingly. We got committed food trucks this time, so nobody's bailing out us at the last minute, we hope. We got contracts and we went through a broker, so that was helpful. And if anybody's looking to sponsor, we're putting that out. Check the Facebook page or contact us direct. We can get you any of the information for that too. And we've already secured down a few big number sponsors, so that's great. So hopefully we'll have pretty much all of it covered again, just like we did last year.
all right, awesome. Well, thanks. We'll put you on the agenda for 2 weeks so we can talk about the specifics, anything that we need to vote. So if you want to talk with the chief ahead of time, so we're ready to discuss it. That's great.
Great.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank you.
much.
Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Thanks, Lonnie. Thanks, Lonnie.
It's Jack Hunter.
That's great.
Every time I talk to him, his dog's barking at him.
Anybody, any other citizen statements and petitions? All right, let's move on to correspondence. I have one letter. This is dated back on May 29th, and it's from Summit Ridge Energy. And they're specifically discussing, they're stating that they would like to talk to the town about leasing the Trask property off of Hopedale Street for solar. And they're making terms, so what I'll probably do is turn this over to the land use committee and Ann Mazar and let them look into it. But let me just, it says, my name's Clay Albright, land acquisition agent for Summit Ridge Energy, a renewable project developer, owner based in Arlington, Virginia. We're currently evaluating properties throughout Massachusetts and are interested in discussing a potential option to lease all or portion of the above described property to potentially develop and operate a power generating community solar facility. Community solar is a form of small scale solar development that allows multiple households to draw power from an array nearby. This creates a nice value to add to your property, whether passing to future generations should you decide to sell at predictable income stream tied to your property. Obviously, this area on Trask, it's a 63-acre piece that was gifted to the town under a trust.
It no longer only means, excuse me. Means solar panels. They're
Right.
doing battery storage units now, and those becoming big. I've got 3 sites that are potential sites for that, so.
Well, I'm just
Yep.
informing the board about this and we'll pass along to land use. Sure.
Yeah, I just had one concern, and this is not any particular concern about this use. It's just that the Trask property was deeded by a trust with certain conditions for use, basically open recreation, school expansion, things like that.
Right.
Just making sure this doesn't conflict with that.
Right. I've already reached out to council.
Okay,
She's working on that right now.
perfect.
So this will be all part of the same. I just didn't want to dismiss it out of hand.
Yeah.
You know, they
completely
spoke
agree.
about, right, so I'll give it to land use. They're already looking into the uses of the property. And it may be that the trust doesn't allow it. But, you know, we have other pilot programs in town with solar. And there may be other places that they may be interested in. But rather than just dismissing it, it was an opportunity to pass it along.
Perfect. I support renewables, so.
Yep.
Makes sense.
All right.
Council did discuss, well, through an email about the idea of the trust and what the restrictions on the trust would be and whether or not the situation as it currently is, where there was a life tenant who may or may not be there still, you know, what are the town's responsibilities and implications regarding, you know, looking at the property, looking at the building, whether we have the ability to actually go on the property without the consent of the tenant.
Well, we've already established last year that the building inspector and the police chief went with me to inspect the house to see if it's habitable. And and actually the building inspector wants to get back in there and he can do it. I mean, the town owns the property and has the right to do the inspection. So that's why I referred it to her, but not to get off topic, but all right. So number 4, meet with Congress and Auchincloss's staff. Actually, I received a notification that she had a commitment that was going to delay her arrival. She asked if she could, you know, be moved around on the agenda. So we're just going to pass over 4 for now until I see Dana join the meeting. So let's go to number 5, and it's potential approval of a 1-day liquor license for the Mendon Upton Youth Soccer Association for a Socktoberfest on October 14th, 2023. And I guess there's a Jeb Peterson who had submitted an application for a special license. Is he present or?
He was notified.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm on virtually here.
Great. Welcome. Thanks for
Hey.
coming to the meeting.
Yeah,
What-
thanks for your consideration.
What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so this annual, just a fundraising event. It's been several years now that we've had this at the Mendon Park. It is now hopefully we have two fundraisers a year. This has been previously our larger gathering. The past couple of years, it hasn't necessarily been that way. We're expecting probably upwards of 400 people, beer and wine tasting. We do have Mendon Police are staffed there. We have food trucks, live music. Overall, it's just been a great community event. All good things have come from it. So the money that we do fundraise from this. So you've seen, you might have seen. So we've been able to put a new shed at Grover Field. We're currently looking into trying to put opportunities or maybe put an opportunity in place where we could light up certain fields in either on Upton or Mendon. So that's something obviously that we're hoping to save for in the future, but maybe big goals, but that's where we're at.
All right, this is going to involve wines and malt beverages, so you normally
It's just it's
Get a
it's
binder.
beer, it's beer and wine. That's it.
Right,
There's,
but you,
yeah.
right, but you have to get a binder for insurance to name the town. as a
Yes, yeah, which we have. Actually, I haven't approved it, but, I just got that today. But that'll be in place before obviously we can get this.
Right. Does anybody from the board have any questions? And I'd be looking for a motion.
I move that the board vote to approve a one-day liquor license for the MUYSA for Octoberfest on October 14th, 2023 at the Mendon Town Beach. Or is it at the Town Beach or at the
It's at the
Veterans-
park. So
Veterans
it's,
Park.
yeah, it's Veterans Park. Yep.
Veterans Park?
So it's going to be at the park, not at the town.
Yes,
Right.
correct. Not at the beach.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Quick question.
Sure.
Yeah, is there a rain date?
Not currently. We do have a large tent. Let's just hope for no rain. But we, in the insurance, we do put for a rain date. I just don't have that at this point.
Would they have to come back if they have a rain date, since it's very specific, or can we make the motion in a way that could cover a rain date to be determined?
Do you know when the rain date would be? You don't know that yet, right?
No, I don't know that. I would imagine it would be one of the next 2 weekends if it's available. I can talk to Dan at Parks for that.
Just modify the motion for a one-time use over the course of the month of October.
I think
Yeah,
what would
that's-
need to happen,
I don't think you can do that.
yeah, what would need to happen is if it doesn't happen on this date, just be aware that the timing of it, you'd have to come back in front of the board. We'd have to give you a new motion and reissue the license for a different day. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
BCC wouldn't allow.
Right.
it.
Right.
Okay.
So it's for October 14th. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
And now we have one-day liquor license for the Brothers of the Brush. Gentlemen. So it says here,
Jason, AJ Burr from the.
I'm Jason Cooter. Nice to meet you, AJ.
Bruce Clifton.
so this is at the town beach.
Yes.
What can you tell us about it?
What we do is, we have all our volunteers all year long doing different functions such as the boat race last night. So this is a thank you to the guys. It's, we started a couple of years ago and it's a thank you to those guys. They've taken the time out of their busy schedules to go do whatever it is in the town. And they've gone away from their families, away from their business. So this is a family thing. We keep it strictly to the families. But this is something that they can bring their kids, they can bring their wives, even the parents have come. So it's just a little thank you to the guys, showing their appreciation and being a member of the Brothers and their help throughout the year.
Right.
And this is also, just to interject a little bit, we will be providing food. So it's not just beer and wine. So people are coming and getting
It's all catered, and the whole
Yeah.
idea is the guys don't have to work, so
yeah.
normally the guys are cooking food for like the Christmas parade or something like that. This way here, nobody has to do anything. Everybody can enjoy their time, other than they'll have to help pick up the trash afterwards.
And there's no issue because it's all done through the snack shack or through a caterer that already has a license.
It's gonna be catered. We'll have a leaders. It's gonna be catering it this year.
You just need to make sure you check with the Board of Health. Just
Well,
pointing it out that,
Yes, I think we're all set.
right. No, you really don't, but you get the point, right? Right. All right, so I'd be looking for a motion.
I move that the select board vote to approve a one-day liquor license for Mendon Brothers of the Brush for August 27th, 2023 for a family day at Mendon Town Beach.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is discussion?
Yeah,
So this is, I'm okay with this, but one, rain date again, but then two, is the beach gonna be closed to the general public?
Which we typically have it, it's 27th for that reason.
Yeah.
So no one else will be in there but us. It's a private function.
And it's not the first time we've done this.
Yeah, last time I think we put up that it was a private function at the time.
Yeah.
To avoid anybody, because sometimes people do think they see the crowd and they think the beach is open, so I think we put up
Yeah, I'm just
signs.
thinking, paper license and the beach just open, that might cause an issue.
Yeah, and actually, we're not closing the beach for the day. The beach closes on the 26th for the summer. We're done for the season. So that's another reason why we're doing it today after, because we still have a couple lifeguards that we'll be able to use. So,
Yeah, we were hiring the lifeguards.
yeah.
I mean, you did- and I don't know if you did it last year. I think it was 2 years ago though, that you invited the pool, right?
Yeah, we didn't have a chance last year.
Motion made and second. Any other questions?
Oh,
Although,
as far as rain date, did we pick a rain date?
well, if there is a rain date, you just have to come back. If you want, you just have to come back and
Okay.
that's all.
This is a lot tighter timeframe, so if we need to, we'll need to kind of maybe do it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Thank
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have fun, guys.
Thank you.
Right, number 7. Council on Aging about appointing 3 part-time van drivers.
This is for number 8.
Oh, okay.
No shark hat today?
They sunk.
So the Council on Aging we've been short-staffed as far as driving goes since the spring. Our second van driver decided to retire again, this time for good. And so we've been trying to make do with one driver who has a life outside of our employment. So we've been putting information in the newsletter. We've been it's been posted off and on the town website. We've actually been posting it continually, but because of kind of a change in employment, there was nobody to monitor it at one point. We now have 3 viable candidates that have been, reviewed, interviewed. Corey, yes. And so we have a training coming up. Our drivers need to have training through the state MARTAP, and the training is free. It's just tricky to get to the training, and you need to have the training. In-person training is good for 2 years. Online training is only good for 1 year. And last year, one of my drivers was able to get the in-person training in Blackstone. Great, he's covered for 2 years. He's now retired. My other driver couldn't do it, and we had to send him down to Hyannis, which is, his time, mileage, whatever. We've got a training this Friday in Blackstone. They can take these 3 potential drivers, if you are willing to hire them. They can have their wheelchair securement driver training. They can have their defensive driver training. Again, it's all free of charge, no cost to the town. These candidates, Walter Ramsey of Upton is a employee. He's a retiree. He's an active participant at the senior center, but he's an employee for the town of Grafton. He drives school buses. So he's got a clean driving record. He knows what he's doing. Our van will be a little bit of a learning curve for him using the lift and so forth. We would only have him really for school vacations, summers and things like that, because he does drive. But that's part of our issue. We need backup drivers. Second person that would just be part-time would be Jim Stewart of 49 Hartford Ave, West Mendon. Also very comfortable, former finance committee member, as well as other Boy Scout leader here in town. He's got experience driving bigger vehicles. Great guy. We really feel comfortable with him. Third one is Sean Forbes of 66 Kinsley Lane, Mendon. Again, very comfortable driving bigger equipment. I think will be a little bit of a learning curve for him with dealing with the seniors, except for that he has his older parents and has taken some time off to care for them, and so is looking for employment. So that's where we stand right now. These 3 candidates can all take the training. Sean Forbes would probably be more of a 2-day driver. He and Wayne Phipps would share responsibility of a 4-day schedule. The other two gentlemen would be backups to them. And we need backups on a pretty regular basis. You know, people take vacations and things like that. So, I don't know if you're familiar with these, individuals, but, you know, we feel fortunate that we've got a roster to bring to you. Consider.
I know two of the three gentlemen. Yeah. Oh, great. And I see there's quite an application process that was gone through here. Anybody have any questions?
Just, my only question is, are all the candidates okay with the schedule that's proposed?
The schedule that's proposed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes,
And able to attend your training on Friday? They know about it?
yes. Yeah. And actually Wayne Phipps will be driving our van, which is great. They need a couple of vans, and it's good that these people will be learning on our van, which is going to be different from somebody else's, you know? And so, and Wayne himself is going to take, the afternoon training Wayne is due for, which will, again, it'll end up being a 2-year certification as opposed to 1 year if he does it online. So, yep, so.
All right, can I have a motion to appoint these three gentlemen?
I move that the board vote to appoint Walter Ramsey, Sean Forbes, and Jim Stewart as part-time and or intermittent van drivers for the Mendon Council on Aging, subject to training.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right. I see that Dana, thank you for coming. So
Hi, folks. Sorry I'm late, and I'm happy to jump in whenever it works for you. I'm
I just
here.
I thought it would be great if you could sit and listen into this. Dana is from Congressman Auchincloss office, and she's here to speak to us about hopefully some opportunities.
Excellent.
So if you don't mind, we've got just 3 other issues to go through the Council on Aging, and you can listen in because I think it'd be informative for you as well.
Perfect. I'd be delighted to do so. So I will remute. Thanks.
All right, thanks. So number 8 is recognition of Senior Citizens Day on Sunday, September 17, 2023, sponsored by the Mendon Lions Club and Council on Aging. And this event's going to be held at the Unitarian Church on Maple Street. If it's okay, I'm going to read this proclamation unless.
Absolutely.
So this is a Mendon Senior Citizens Proclamation awarded to the senior citizens of Mendon. Because whereas the town of Mendon is truly blessed with senior citizens who have given their time and talents to make the town of Mendon a better place to live, and those elder citizens of Mendon represent a wealth of knowledge and understanding. And whereas those elder statesmen have offered themselves freely and without compensation in an attempt to improve their community, and whereas throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, citizens are gathering to express their thanks to the seniors of the Commonwealth and to reaffirm the commitment of the Commonwealth and to safeguard the independence and dignity of our elders. Now, therefore, we, the Select Board of the Town of Mendon, do hereby proclaim Sunday, 17th day of September in the year 2023 as Senior Citizens Day in Mendon, Massachusetts, and urge all citizens to express their appreciation and respect to those who have served this town so well throughout their lives. And once we make a motion, it'll be signed the 21st day of September in the year 2022. I'm sorry, 2023. At Mendon, Massachusetts by the Mendon Select Board. So do I have a motion?
So look, can I just confirm the date? So we have September 17th. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
and I'm sorry, I used last year's proclamation then.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Hence
okay. All right. Just
So I can get a clean one
All
for
right,
you.
so I'll give that back to
Yeah.
you.
so I move that the select board vote to recognize September 17th, 2023 as Senior Citizens Day and to thank the Council on Aging and Mendon Lions Club and to celebrate this event on September 17th, 2023 at the Unitarian Church in Mendon.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, I know there are 2 more here about the Senior Citizens of the Year. Do you want us to vote on these two now? Didn't we already speak about this?
Well, I don't know if you need to vote on them, but I need your signatures for them.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna just read it and brag about the two of them.
Oh, no, please do.
That's
Please
okay.
do.
All right. So there are two Senior Citizens of the Year proclamations, which are awarded to Ann Dudley and her husband Russ Dudley. And about Russ, it says Russ, a lifelong Mendon resident whose family goes back generations, was raised in Mendon along with his 6 siblings. He and Ann Lamarb have been married for 48 years. They've raised 5 children in Mendon and have 7 grandchildren. Russ worked for the Mendon Post Office for 30 years. He's a Mendon of the Mendon Brothers of the Brush. He was a member of the 350th Anniversary Committee and was a member of the Mendon Historic District for 5 years. Russ joined the Mendon Call Fire Department at the age of 18, achieved the rank of lieutenant, and was a member for a total of 15 years, from 1968 to 1983. Russ is a member of the Mendon Parks Commission for 4 years in the 1970s and a baseball coach for Mendon Little League. Now, during his retirement, he worked as a part-time van driver for the Mendon Senior Center from 2013 to 2020. He was an active member at St. Michael's Parish in Mendon teaching CCD. He continues to be active in the St. Gabriel's Parish of Mendon and Upton as a member of the Knights of Columbus. And his wife, Ann Lamarb Dudley, moved to Mendon in 1966, sight unseen from South Natick, with her parents and 6 siblings, and began high school in Mendon. Later, upon graduation from Regis College, she taught science at Ashland Middle School. Ann and Russ were married in 1975. They've been married for 48 years, raised 5 children. Ann returned to teaching after taking time off to raise her family, this time in the Mendon Upton School District. She eventually became a full-time 7th grade teacher at Misco Hill School, where she taught for over 10 years. She was also a member of the Mendon's 350th Anniversary Committee. She was a member of the Festival Committee in 1991 for the tree lighting in Founders Park, and again in 2017 for the new Founders Park Festival Committee. Ann portrayed Mrs. Claus for the festivals from 2015 to 2019, and contributed her knowledge of local history when acting as a guide for the Mendon Senior Center Historic Van Tours in 2014 and 2019 with Dick Grady and John Trainer. Ann's been active in both the former St. Michael's Parish located in Mendon and St. Gabriel's Parish located in Upton. Ann has taught CCD and has been a lector and is still active with St. Gabriel's Women's Club. And it says, therefore, we, the Mendon Select Board, do hereby proclaim Ann Dudley and Russ Dudley as Senior Citizens of the Year, given this, this will be the 17th day of September 2023. So if I can have somebody affirm that motion. So move.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Wonderful. And so those are for your signatures too,
right, they just
on the bottom.
need the dates changed.
Those ones are wrong too?
Yes,
Sorry about that.
it's all right.
Would hope that, a few of you are able to come to this event. It's always great to see the selectmen there. Senator Fatman's been invited. Representative Murray has accepted his invitation that he is coming as well. And
I don't know, we actually have somebody from our congressman's
yes,
office.
if,
Congressman's certainly welcome if he'd like to come to
absolutely.
the Unitarian Church and
What time of the day?
celebrate.
I'm sorry, 11:30.
11:30.
It's pretty, so traditionally, the guests of honor are transported by the fire truck from the station to the Unitarian Church, and it happens pretty quickly. The Patriots are always playing at 1 o'clock. So there's a wonderful meal, but there are speeches and the dinner, and then everybody goes on their ways to
Yeah.
catch the Patriots.
And it wouldn't be unusual because Congressman Auchincloss has already been to Mendon once to take a tour of the historic district, and he was here again a couple of weeks ago up at Southwick Zoo.
Mhm.
So,
And he was
Sure.
there yesterday. He loved it so much that he went back yesterday. He's kind of out of office this week, celebrating with his family, summer vacation, and they went to Mendon for their vacation. So they were at the zoo yesterday also.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Should I send an invitation to?
That would
them?
be wonderful. Yes, if you can email us, if you can email the details, we would love to share it with our scheduling team. And yeah, Chair Morley said that we did go on a walking tour in February of Mendon, and we saw that beautiful Unitarian church. So we know the neighborhood well, and we're getting to know it better. So we're excited.
Great. David, I can get that information from you. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will get these corrected, and I'm leaving for vacation on Saturday for 2 weeks. So I wanted to make sure that,
Sure.
you know, and so I will get something to David for
Yeah,
the
we'll-
correct
we'll all
dates and
sign.
yeah, you can all sign.
Okay.
Great. Thank you so much.
Enjoy your vacation.
It's been a busy summer,
sure.
busy summer. I do apologize about the dates. But
Okay.
better we catch it now than when somebody is reading them. And it's nice to have at least two of you to perhaps read them at the event.
And we postponed the discussion about the tax work.
Oh, that's,
Right.
I think that's a good idea. That's a good
And then
idea.
we'll get to the Senior Citizen Expansion Committee. Dana, we actually have, tonight we're going to appoint a Senior Center Expansion Committee. I talked to you about that when we discussed this back in May on the phone. But really, we actually here tonight specifically about affordable housing, infrastructure improvements like water and sewer expansion. Specifically, I know in February, when I was walking around with the congressman, we talked about affordable housing and how it's a crisis. And, through our CPA funds, we've got a decent, we've got some seed money for affordable housing. And we just purchased a 60-acre piece of land in town. We're actually working on the purchase and sale now. Part of that component will be some additional affordable housing. And actually the land adjacent to our current senior center, which we're hoping to expand, we have another area of potential affordable housing. We actually went out for requests for proposals once, and our town planner, Jack Hunter, is actually on the here virtually as well, who's been very involved in that, and the town aquifer for the potential water expansion is actually in this area as well. So there's a bunch of different things that we're hoping to get some synergy here. And I know I talked with you about potentially any other sources of funding federally to help us with affordable housing and infrastructure. So I don't know, any thoughts that you might have on it, you could share with us and some advice for how we would move forward.
Absolutely. And thank you once again for the invitation for me to be here this evening. I am Congressman Jake Auchincloss's district director, which means that I supervise our team that's here in Massachusetts. And I thought I would just give a quick overview of our office and our services, and then we can dive in a little bit to sort of how we can work with the town of Mendon to think about some creative ways to explore whether there are funding opportunities at the federal level. But just to give you all a little bit of a background, we have 35 cities and towns in this district, and Mendon was redistricted into our district in January of this year. And as Chair Morley said, the congressman has been out to visit twice. He went once in February. As soon as he had a free day, he wanted to come and visit his new towns, and Mendon was on that list. And then we also had him at the zoo a couple weeks ago. And then, like I said, he was there today he brought the whole family. He brought his 3-year-old a couple weeks ago, and yesterday he brought the whole family out. So for our congressional office here in Massachusetts, we assist constituents with casework, and this is an opportunity. I always like to seize the opportunity to let folks know that if they ever hear of anybody who has questions about Social Security or veterans benefits or anything having to do with passports or immigration casework, we have full-time caseworkers in our office who can assist with that. And we're basically sort of a liaison between individuals and the federal government, which, is a pretty big entity and has a lot of moving parts. So we can help with the small and also the big in terms of that sort of casework. With respect to funding, it can be a little bit hard to, unpack individual funding opportunities for different types of programming in a municipality. I would say that generally, the way that our office works with our 35 cities and towns is when you have a specific program, let's say this 60 acres that you just purchased in Mendon, and you're looking for a way to cobble together funds for affordable housing, you can think of our office as almost like a policy concierge, if you will. We can sort of get a sense of what it is that you're looking at in terms of your needs, and then we can really partner with the state and the local administrations to try to identify different buckets of funding. We field questions from municipalities across the district on almost a daily basis. We can talk to folks and connect them with possibilities for infrastructure, or usually firefighters. We have a lot of, grant availability for firefighters. We work with nonprofit entities as well. We can write letters of support for the town of Mendon if they were to, be inclined to apply for any sort of federal funding. And we can try to help you track down any specific questions that you have to policy questions, or, trying to think of, let's say as you're looking for the senior center expansion, are there federal funds available for senior centers? Or elements of programming that might happen at a senior center. We can liaise with different federal agencies to try to figure out what might be available out there. Full disclosure, it's not terribly straightforward with the federal government what funding opportunities there are. We have a member of our staff. Her name is Jenna Massoud. I think some of you have met Jenna. She's been with the congressman, I think, on both visits to Mendon with our office before. Jenna is the one who really can sort of unpack specifics of any grant opportunity. There's a website called grants.gov. It's huge, it's cumbersome, it's really hard to figure out. We spend a lot of time trying to connect our cities and towns with federal funding opportunities, and it's complicated. So what we try to do is we try to be almost like a matchmaker and say to our cities and towns, okay, what are you interested in? And then Jenna will take that information and then work with her contacts to try to figure out, what might be available. So I think that that's my way of saying that, we look at this as the beginning of a conversation. We're available to have, Jenna talk to anybody, whether it's, Chair Maroli or other individual members, or, come out to Mendon at some point and sort of get a rundown of exactly what you're interested in, and then we can work to move it forward and see what opportunities do exist.
Great. Jack, do you have any comments that you'd like to make? You're muted, man.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Dana. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Jack. Nice to meet you.
We do have a project. We
Okay.
got several projects.
Okay.
But two that I'm most interested in, and not to step on Phil's project, is we have a piece of land designated, for lack of a better word, for what we believe should be affordable housing. And we've done quite a bit of work on the property, and we thought we were ready, and we went out to bid, and unfortunately we didn't get any bids. And the bottom line is it's a complicated site, and it's too expensive for nonprofits at this time. So I guess what I'm asking for is there an opportunity to help underwrite this by lowering that cost to any nonprofit that would be willing to bid on it? We're doing some of that ourselves, but hey, any other way you can think of or your team can think of to help? I'm all ears.
Great, thanks, Jack. I think I was just talking with, we interact with all of our cities and towns. I mean, across the district, and it's a housing crisis in every one of our 35 cities and towns. It's a crisis in Massachusetts. It's a crisis across the country. As the town planner, you know that really well, Jack. And it is mind-boggling to me how anybody can figure out the ins and outs and the throes of how to finance these affordable housing projects in all of our cities and towns. I will say that the congressman has been really interested and supportive and trying to think outside the box with our municipalities on ways that we can either make connections to nonprofits that have had experience and ability to try to get things off the ground. And one thing that, I am not a planner. I am not a civil engineer, but one thing that I think that the federal government can be helpful with is sometimes assisting with infrastructure needs that can help to unlock the ability for a site to be, an easier place for affordable housing
And
to
that
be
would be
developed.
appropriate. That would be appropriate here. There is a wells that has to be connected, if you will, to the affordable housing piece of land.
Yep.
It's expensive. And that was one of the reasons we didn't get any bidding on that.
Yeah.
Should I call your office? What should I do about that?
Absolutely. Let's have you email me and Jenna. I'm going to drop, if I drop these emails in the chat, can you grab them, Jack? Or I know that Chair Morley has them as well, but I'll put them in here.
I got a hunch I'll get them one way or the other.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And then the other project that I'm doing is, for the most part, we have no infrastructure as far as water and sewer. There are some exceptions. And through the good graces of some grant writing and actually some work by the chairman and state legislators, we've been fortunate enough to get enough money to do a phase 1 analysis on that, and I won't bore you with the details. And we're now kicking off phase 2, which we have funding for. And in fact, we've applied for funding for phase 3. I'm a little leery about that piece, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get it. It's a big deal here. It's a big deal for not only what I've learned in Mendon, and please help me, Board of Selectmen, where I go astray. And I think Bill's there. He's always telling me when I go astray.
Dana, our planning board chair was here as well.
Yeah. So it is, obviously we want infrastructure, probably water, maybe sewer, for economic development reasons. And we have some good areas we believe we can take advantage of. But the surprising part has been that in order to do any kind of substantial affordable housing, you need infrastructure. A well and a septic system, you can't get the critical mass to have developers, for-profit or nonprofit, take a bite at. So, and then the third part is environmentally, having, as someone told me many years ago, having one well that is monitored professionally and taken care of professionally, as opposed to 5,000 little wells, environmentally just makes sense. So we've got some synergy here on this project. So I would like to talk about that too with you, and about, I think we're all set for the moment, but we're gonna if we keep moving forward, we're gonna have some big numbers.
Yep. Yep. And I appreciate that, Jack. And actually, I probably should mention, I crashed one of your select board meetings, I think last March or something, when you were talking about sewer at the time.
I
or-
always am.
Yeah, right. I think listen, all of our 35 cities and towns are always talking about water infrastructure, and water infrastructure really makes my boss's heart sing. This is something that he's very committed to because, like you said, Jack, it is an unlock for housing. It's an unlock for economic development. So Mendon is not alone in that priority. For the past 2 years, there has been an opportunity for community project funding, federal grants. This is sort of once we get to a more granular level of understanding what Mendon's needs are, that's when we can talk about whether we can work on having the congressman like support some congressionally directed funding towards a city or town. So if you go on our website, and Jack, we can meet offline with you and then I can sort of show you through all of this, but the congressman has been able to, through EPA, grant opportunities to connect municipalities with, funding through, for either PFAS removal or sewer planning
Yeah.
and design. So these are other things. Unfortunately, from year to year, we don't know whether those community project funding grants are going to make it into the final federal budget. So we don't like to make promises that we are not able to keep. And we do have 35 cities and towns, and he only has so many opportunities to support individuals, cities and towns. But I will say water infrastructure has been a large priority of his, and he has, been able to try to help a lot of our cities and towns with some funding for that.
Well, I'm thrilled to hear that. I look forward to working with you. I know Phil, I'm sure Phil has something he wants to share with you. Phil's our chairman of the Council on Aging, so.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, Jack is actually one of my partners. I've enlisted his skills onto our committee. But one of the things we're trying to do is expand his center, which is abutters to the affordable housing area that Jack's worried about.
Mhm.
There seems to me logically some synergy for the engineering studies, for the potential water and sewer studies. We can't live on a common well system, but we certainly can use the engineering work that would assess the whole property area. And if we think out of the box, as we look at the communities, the senior center, we do a lot of community service as well. It's the hazard site for if there's emergencies in town. It's the area where people go for cooling centers in these hot days. Anyone in town. It's a food-wide pantry opportunity for the entire population. 28% of our citizens are seniors.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of seniors who will probably want to move or be forced to move out of the area because there's not a good area where they can. We're too small now to satisfy the needs of this group. We've outgrown the capabilities. So we were trying to figure out how to retain some of these people by providing more services, more daily activities for interaction, but we just can't do that today. We look at any creative things like, can we use the source of solar energy off the building? Can we use the source for other activities? Today, a lot of the town committees and use the center as well. The Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, a number of groups here. So that's an area that we want to try to focus with. Not only the town paying for it, we're going to try to drive a fundraising effort, but also looking at federal and state. So we need help there. And Jack, we're going to leverage his skills, I'm assuming, guys, to help tie this in. And if we happen to be abutters to the affordable housing, I think there's got to be some synergy there.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's
I
just
look forward to it, Phil.
So do I, Jack.
All right, and I think,
If you want to add anything else to that.
I think Mike Goddard had.
Dan, it sort of ties into what both Jack and Phil were saying. It's more, when you mentioned the complexities of navigating the bureaucracy, if you will, to get funding at a federal level, general question. My natural inclination is to bundle projects that make sense. So as Phil was saying, the synergies between, the abutting space into a development effort. Is there a best practice at the federal level to either go small, go big, or is that something your office could look at and say, we would recommend X versus Y?
It is a really great question, and I wish that and we're a second term congressional office, and these congressional community project funding grants have been a learning curve for every congressional office because they had gone away for many years and they came back. I think the short answer is it depends on any given project. I guess my gut tells me that a lot of these federal funding opportunities are very structured. And what we've been hearing from our municipalities is, having a small but mighty town like Mendon, it's hard because you don't have like a full-time federal grant writer in town. So that's where we're trying to help and assist. But it is, federal funding has a lot of requirements. It is very specific. And it can be really complicated. So that's why we love to work with towns on a really sort of upfront basis to try to figure out like, okay, exactly what are you trying to do? And then we take sort of your wish list or your priorities and try to match them with potential funding opportunities. I would say that with the exception of water infrastructure projects, which can be like, good water infrastructure unlocks so much. So I think I think that's the reason why we've gravitated towards those funding opportunities a lot. We have had other towns ask us, like, is there funding for senior centers? And that can get a little more complicated just because, like you said, you can use a senior center for so many different things, but it's always just trying to find like the criteria within federal agencies that will support the need. So like I said, that's really where we're trying to play like a matchmaking role here.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks very much, Dana. I know that Jack will reach out to your office and be the
Perfect.
point person for now.
Fabulous. We'll look forward to that. And like I said, I think the next step would be to get maybe Jenna, Jack, and myself. And I don't know if Chair Maroli or town manager, somebody else wants to jump on, but definitely at minimum, Jenna, Jack, and me, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much for attending.
right.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I would love
Nice
to
meeting
spend
you.
my whole evening with you guys, but I have got to dive back into my email queue and I will just be sitting here pounding on emails and you'll be like, why is she so rude doing emails? So I'm going to sign off, but thank you all. And I look forward working with the town of Mendon on behalf of the congressman.
Thanks very much.
Good night.
Take good
Bye-bye.
care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Right, number 10, discussion, the creation of a senior center expansion committee or ad hoc senior center group. This has been an ongoing discussion and we did get some feedback from council that, what would need to happen is that this board would need to appoint the members of the committee. You would have to function, under the rules of any other open meeting. You'd have to, choose a chair and a vice chair, keep notes. It would apply to the bylaws where it would be broadcast and recorded.
Yep.
All of the members would need to be sworn in by the town clerk.
Okay.
And it was recommended that while we could have one member of this board, attend the meetings, that it would be a bad idea for a quorum of us to go there. You would do this at the direction of us and, your authority would come from us. So you would come and bring recommendations back to this board.
Yep.
So I guess that the first question is I think, Elena, you had a desire to be the point person from this board. Is that right?
Well, I would be happy to, but I know you also were interested in that. So I mean, I certainly am interested in continuing to work.
Well, that's what I know
with
you've
them.
been.
So,
right.
but that being said, somebody else is also very enthusiastic that, I'll thumb wrestle. No.
Okay. Yikes.
But no, I would be, I would be happy to, but that being said, this is a long-term project, so I could imagine a site.
We can
like-
take turns too.
Yeah,
Sure.
so.
I make the suggestion.
There you go, that's a way.
Primary and an alternate,
mm.
even for some of our coverage on the other committees that
Sure.
we need to talk about, because I think
Sure.
an alternate, just given schedules, would probably make sense, and
If-
one or
I-
both can
yeah,
attend, but
that's
you
a
want
great-
forum.
Great idea.
Right. Which is fine, So do we have a list of people that have asked to be on the committee?
Yes, we do. And I'll go to the older list, not the newer list. Because I signed all you guys up as part of the committee. But that's okay. We have Mike Amendola. I can never pronounce his name. correctly.
Amanda Leah.
Thank you, Amanda Leah. He's volunteered to assist. We have Dave Krasner, the chief.
Dave Kersey.
Yeah, Kersey. We have Peg.
Noguera.
Yep, thank you. Lonnie Tinio. And I think they've sent, all these folks have sent emails off requesting.
Yes.
And then we have Tom Fitchner. Request to be assistant or help some way. So if we're gonna reduce the size of select people, maybe you'd like to join the committee. It's up to you, sir.
Not that I would want to, I did offer,
Okay.
can, I'm just not sure if I can get it.
Okay. That's fine.
Meetings be in the evenings, what?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important that, anyone's it's an open meeting. Anyone can attend, right? So you don't have to be on the committee.
That's true. Anyone
As a
can
name
attend,
member.
that's true. And
Right.
we'll use your assistance and help will be used. One way.
Well, why don't we start with what you've named off
Okay.
and then,
And the other people we had, we looked at is that, I guess Jack Hunter as a consultant because of synergy, we'd like to have him assigned to it by the board. He's not a
well,
committee
he
member.
he's a planner, so he's already,
Okay. Okay. I think that's it, and myself.
all right. And then we have Elena and Mike as a primary and alternate to start. Is that,
You expressing it?
You are,
Nope.
yeah, you expect it.
no, I'm the chair. That's fine for now. That would be great if you're the,
Okay, that would be fantastic, because I know already I'm gonna be out of town for the next meeting, so.
Okay, who should be marked as, well, you'll let me know with primary? Okay,
so we have a motion on number 10. And the membership names we've already listed off there, and our town administrator has the list. So if somebody could read this motion, make the motion.
I move that the select board vote to establish a senior center expansion committee with the following membership. Phil Sepley, Mike Amendolia, Dave Kersey, Peg Noguera, Lonnie Tinia, Elena Grudos as primary select board representative, and Mike Goddard as alternate select board representative. And charge them, just lost the and charge them with certain responsibilities regarding potential options. The expansion of the Mendon Senior Center, and report back to the select board with their findings within 6 months of the day of creation of this committee.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I would just ask that everybody who has been appointed, I don't believe the select board members need to, but everybody else should go to see the town clerk to be sworn in. Okay,
just for, what's your office hours? At the town clerk?
For the town
Yeah,
clerk.
what's your, just 9 to
She's downstairs and she's Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4,
9 to 4.
and you can show up anytime.
Very responsive via email.
Yeah. Right.
Next meeting is next Tuesday. All right,
Good luck.
Thank you.
thank you.
Great.
and
We'll be back often.
all right. Number 11 and 12 on the have been postponed, actually, the Paddock property purchase and sale, and also The DOT is going to make a presentation, and they're going to do that in 2 weeks. I did receive an email from the DOT, and Billy and I were talking about this, that the DOT is in talks with a developer about purchasing a piece of land at the corner of Hartford Ave East and Route 140 or Cape Road to actually expand the intersection to make it so that trucks can actually turn without having to back up and run anybody
Which
over.
happens like seems to be every time I'm on that corner. Yeah.
Right. So, but
The
that'll
old
be,
Slavin property.
well, it's Skinner.
Skinner
Dick Skinner was
in the front.
a gentleman who, right. But either way, it'll be discussed next meeting. So yeah, with that, we'll go on to number 13, which is housing production plan. And I would ask our planner, Jack Hunter, to walk us through that.
Sure. You know, on the other thing, I would like to give kudos to the planning board and Bill, because they're the ones that helped negotiate that property and insisted that property be part of the project. As far as the housing production plan, I think I got a little ahead of myself. I kind of inherited this. As you know, Bill McHenry has been the housing planner for, gosh, a long time, I think, but he no longer technically works for the town. And the former town administrator asked me to take over some of those duties. And one of the projects is to revise and renew our housing production plan. And that's kind of like a template on how we want to move forward over the next 5 years in providing and developing affordable housing in the town and retaining it. So I Ann Mazar, chair of the CPA, got funding from town meeting, and we hired CMRPC to help us do the document and then hopefully get it certified. They would like a committee, and here's where I got a little ahead of myself. I didn't know who to put on the committee, and to back up a little bit, on the affordable housing project, 52 Providence, of course, we expected to have, 2 or 3 developers submit, and we'd have to make some choices. So this was before me, certain individuals, all the ones that are on the list, were asked to participate on going over the proposals and helping us determine which one was the most responsive. Well, that didn't happen. So I just sent out an email to the same group and said, would you be interested? And lo and behold, they all were. We then met on Zoom, and I don't know, either Mike or Alana or both of you brought up, gee, should this be appointed by the Board of Selectmen? And that's where I kind of got ahead of myself. And I talked to David, and he thought so. Also, I was approached by Ken O'Brien, and he would also like to be on it. And since Bill's there, I'm going to reach out to Bill and the board, as perhaps a planning board member would be a good idea as well.
So maybe what we need to do is table this and then come up with a list and bring it back at the next meeting so we can constitute. We just want to do it as a member of the Board of Assessors, a member of the Select Board, a member of the Planning Board.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
That,
yeah.
Right. So basically the motion I see here is that the board establish a housing production plan committee consisting of a member of the Select Board, a member of the Planning Board, a member of the assessors, as well as the town planner, who will be charged with the responsibility of working with CMRPC to make certain recommendations to the Select Board. The Housing Production Plan Committee will report back to the Select Board periodically and present a final housing production plan to the Select Board for approval and submittal to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
The only change I would put is I'm recommending 2 selectmen. You'll figure that one out, not me. And I think Tony Gemma is on there. He's a member of the Economic Development Committee. I don't know if he's on anything else, but I know he had expressed interest.
We're gonna edit the motion to 2 members of the select board and a member of the Economic Development
What,
Committee.
how about Ann Mazar in her capacity as
CPA, yeah,
CPA? So I don't think she was listed.
CPA or land use, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Perfect.
so we'll also add
perfect.
someone from the
Potentially CPA or land use would be, I mean, appropriate.
let's say land use. Let's say
Yep.
land use, right? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
All right, so it's 2 members of the select board, someone from the planning board, someone from the assessors, someone from economic development, and somebody from the land use committee.
Perfect.
Is that right?
Yeah, I knew you guys would figure it out.
So no one want to make that motion?
Oh, so moved.
We have a second? Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you, Jack.
All right.
And then on the 18th meeting, we'll just appoint that list of people.
Well, either that or we let each, I think we let each committee, like certainly the planning board, can figure out who they want to be on there.
Okay.
Okay, well, you can figure that out. Right,
We'll put that on the agenda, right, Bill?
I get it. Right. Everyone else will, I know, everyone else will take a step back. I know how that works. I get it. So 14, we need to appoint a member of the select board as an alternate member to the CMRPC, Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. Is there anyone on this?
Was there, I mean, someone previously, was that?
I don't think we ever had an alternate on there before. I think Billy. Well, are you as the planning board chair, the rep, or is that just appointed every year by the planning board? Okay, and that's where that comes from?
Yeah.
Okay, so then this board is supposed to appoint someone as an alternate. Okay. All right, anyone want to be the alternate?
What's that
Yeah,
commitment?
what's the correct?
Depends on how much you want to be involved, like, I'll give you, for instance, CMRPC had never heard of Mendon until I got on board. I started attending meetings up in Worcester, usually once a month or quarterly. And there's a lot of good seminars and good information. Doesn't mean you have to. But there's certainly, if you get your name on the list up there, you get the emails when something does. And who knows, maybe you'd be interested. I mean, the last several years, working on master plan stuff, I have been able to go to a lot of them myself. So, but early on, let me tell you, help me understand the role of the planning board member or chair. Great.
I'll volunteer unless you need to spend more time doing more volunteer work.
I'd also be one. It's up to you.
You want to rock, paper, scissors for it? I guess it's me.
Democratic process.
So the motion would be that the select board vote to appoint Jason Cooter as the alternate member to the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. Do I have? All right, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, 15, let's talk about the request for proposals or request for proposals for the hiring someone for the hire a permanent town administrator. So I know we've already discussed this before, the idea, and David, tell everybody what the concern you had with the.
The concern I have is that, given the process in terms of having a committee, giving the consultants enough time to actually put together a proposal, even if we get it out like next week, you still get to give the consultants at least 3 or 4 weeks to put together a proposal. That timeline, as Mike had suggested, could be shorter. That lands us in September. And then you got the search committee, you gotta make sure the search committee is appointed. It's gonna take time for the consultant to get up and running in terms of, because they basically put together like a pamphlet, with the town's demographics and what specifically the town is looking for in a town administrator. So as a result of that, I would see the search committee taking probably a month, 3 or 4 weeks for the, get the board involved for 1 or 2 interviews, final, you're probably looking at early December. And that's a pretty aggressive schedule.
Now, the alternative is, the Collins Center, who we just saw them in action last week or 2 weeks ago. We don't really need to do a request for proposals with them because they actually are part of the Commonwealth. So we could just vote to just hire them to do the search for us. And I did have a conversation with their director back in June. But I think we need to take some kind of action tonight to get the ball rolling.
I thought we actually talked to the Collins Center already. That's why I thought that we were doing this because the Collins Center was not gonna do it based on our last meeting.
I did it because I was instructed by the board to.
Yeah, we talked about it 2 weeks ago, but.
No, but our initial thing was to go to the Collins Center for the very reasons you said.
Well, we were gonna discuss it with them and I asked her to talk to me.
Okay,
And then she was going on vacation, was gonna call me when she get back and she never called.
that's still an option.
Right, still an
So
option.
do we know how much that would be?
I've been told the number is 15K,
Okay. And do we know like how that compares? I mean, so,
about
Even you-
10K.
okay, so
It
it
would
might be
range
a little
between
bit
10
more
and
expensive,
15.
but it would be faster. We
Be
think,
way
way
faster.
faster.
The other section I didn't really talk about was that there has to be an evaluation. The proposals under an RFQ require each of the consultants to submit a proposal, and that proposal is based upon certain criteria. And then they're rated, highly advantageous, moderately advantageous. And there's a middle category, not advantageous at all. And you go through that whole list, you create a matrix and you add it all up. And then they submit a price proposal that's in a separate envelope. And once you have the one that meets the highest criteria, you open it up and you find out it's, whatever it is, it could be 10,000, could be 16,000, could be 22,000. You really don't know until you're at that process.
So
And the other was the third approach is which you could actually go out. Appoint a search committee made up of whoever the board wants, okay, all right.
Well,
It takes the politics out of it.
So the Collins Center, will they work with the search committee?
I'm sorry?
Does the Collins Center, will they work with the search committee? It's like,
Oh,
what makes
sure
it, okay, so they're just faster because we don't have to go through the 3 weeks of this project.
Oh, it's gonna be more than 3 weeks. So like I said, it'll be, and then, like I said, there's a gear up time for the consultant to get on board. Work with the search committee in terms of,
But the Collins Center is gonna do everything.
they're gonna do
but
this,
fill
all
the-
the same thing, but they're
Right.
gonna be able,
So,
if you call
To
them
me, the
tomorrow, they
RFP
say we're gonna do it.
process is based on that
Limited.
timeline's about 4 weeks. the way
Yeah.
You laid it out. So we say 4 weeks because the Collins Center can just start. Is
Yeah.
The benefit, but they
Yeah.
would still work with the search committee. So I personally think that's important that we have folks involved.
Presumably, they also already have information about our towns. They were sitting
True.
here.
And,
Believe me, any response to that has information.
and the board can work on a parallel track with the Collins Center and say, all right, we're gonna work on who we want to be on the search committee.
Yeah, no, I,
Well, I guess what I'd be looking for is a motion to authorize town administrator to engage the Collins Center to begin the search for permanent town administrator.
so moved.
Second,
All right, all those in favor?
I,
All right.
I mean, I thought that was our.
Right, but we never really, right? I mean,
And that was the recommendation on the outgoing TA is that they're a good.
Do we have to do something to get the ball rolling on a search committee? What's that?
my thought is that we can find out quickly within the next 2 weeks from the Collins Center and get some recommendations from them. And then in 2 weeks, we'll,
Like how many people?
exactly.
What?
Because the point is they
You
can
don't
start
make
the,
it too big
Right.
where it becomes cumbersome
Right.
and,
because,
or too small where you can't get full.
and the Collins Center will begin recruiting people. And then, so the search committee would help, go through that process with the Collins Center.
And the benefit of the search committee is that the initial interview can be conducted in executive session. Whereas if it was just being done by the board and that kind of thing, it would, you can't, the board can't serve as the screening committee.
All right. Number 16, discussion about a goal setting process. I know we had originally, were gonna have a separate meeting, which is gonna happen actually last night. But because of the
We had
weather,
things to do last night.
we had things to do. So, and I want to thank the library and the Brothers of the Brush, because both organizations were really behind this cardboard boat race, which I thought was absolutely fantastic with the number of participants and all of the folks, and it was a great way to show off the new beach. And it was, there's a lot of community support, and a lot of, a bunch of folks that had grown up here and had been at that beach, were reminiscing that you could really feel that spirit, which was terrific, really terrific. So, yes. And why don't you come on up here, and Bruce, and I know the discussion for those who were watching, and just, we had made a bet that we were gonna, as a board, put in $100, and then the other, I think the fire department and the Brothers of the Brush, right? There were three of us.
Yep.
So we're gonna put,
Yeah, the Brothers of the Brush put it out. There's a challenge last year. Was it last year we did it with, we put the challenge out. The fire department accepted. Last year was actually $200. So we did it again this year. I thought it was an awesome thing to have that. I think it started, I thought about it later. I think it was the select board at the time, and the seniors were going at it. So that's what got me thinking about it, and then we started it. And I appreciate you guys stepping up to the plate in doing that. And
I think this is a conversation we had actually at the Memorial Day parade, right? Was that when we were talking?
and then we were talking about, yes,
Right.
it started a little bit before that, but it went out to everybody. There was some other town. I mean, I think the highway department was thinking about doing it. They didn't have enough people to participate, and hopefully this will start, and maybe I'm hoping the next year we could do the same thing again. I just thought it was pretty cool that we all did it. Everybody had a great fun. Couldn't ask for a better day.
It was fantastic, right?
So it's just a little letter that we typed up here that, on behalf of the Mendon Brothers Association, I'd like to extend our sincere thank you for participating in the 23rd annual cardboard boat race by the Mendon Public Library. Also, a hearty congratulations for paddling your boat to victory in the group challenge. We applaud your creativity and engineering moves. When the Brothers of the Brush formerly, my glasses, attended the challenge to the Mendon Municipal Community Groups, it was done with a goal of promoting community spirit. Your acceptance to the challenge, along with the Mendon Fire Department, admirably demonstrated that spirit. We hope to keep the spirit going for the many more cardboard boat races to come. As part of the challenge for being this victorious, I included the cash $100 donation to provide to the charitable entity of your choice in the event. An event such as not only adds to the keeping community spirit alive, but also provide assistance with those in need. So, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, do we, for the next year, have to refer to him as Commodore all year?
No, actually, he was the captain. That's it.
Bigger hat. Yeah.
Actually, That's much better than some things I've been called. So,
So yeah, no, it was awesome event.
it really was.
And it was nice that, cause it was, actually, I have to applaud Andrew because it was never even run by him. It was kind of like something on the side that we did. And, he graciously took it on and added it to the thing already. So, hopefully we'll get with him a little bit earlier next year and add it to that. And hopefully it'll be a few more boats that could be going.
Well, as I recall, it was one of the, I think it was the one of the school teachers who was also a librarian.
Yes, that's
that-
you said that.
That started this 25 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, they've done it every year, so.
And we're thinking of for next year and future years, making up an actual anvil that will actually be throwing down at the gauntlet for your various groups to accept and pick up.
Yeah, create a trophy that can, you know, be handed off.
That's
year
it.
to year.
That's
Pass it from one to the next.
it. Yeah, yeah.
I'll have to put a cardboard boat race on.
I hope they didn't miss their opportunity. It's the only year to win, because future years, it could just be other groups.
We'll have it back next year.
Or we're setting a precedent. It's, you know, maybe next year we'll get the police to join us, right, chief?
We've been trying for a
Yeah.
couple of years to
Get
make
the,
that happen.
Police, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts,
Not mute, but I know he's saying absolutely.
so even, it's out to everybody. So it's just an awesome event, I thought.
It really was.
It worked out awesome.
So
Well,
thank
thank you
you as
again.
well before Bill takes his leave. So next year, Bill.
Yeah.
He's toothless. I've never seen that happen. My God. Yeah, but seriously, the Brothers of the Brush have been really a big, really a backbone of community service since I was a little boy. And we appreciate everything that the brothers do for the town.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, awesome group of guys. And, everybody doesn't do it just for the pat in the back. They do it because they want to do it. So that's the good part about it. It's kind of like we don't look at bragging rights or anything like that. It's just something that everybody likes to do.
Right.
Behind the scenes, and a little more fun in between.
We like to fly under the radar, but I wouldn't have been opposed to doing a little bit of bragging. Just a little.
We'll look forward to the Christmas parade boat.
Yes, yeah. So that'll be the next big event, is the Christmas parade and floats for that. So you can do a float for that. You guys can. Last year we had, I think we had the most floats last year.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was quite an event.
Yeah.
Great.
That's another one that gets bigger every year. So, it's, hopefully that'll be the same thing next year.
Right.
Or this year, I should say, not next year. This year.
Right.
It's coming to something.
It is right.
We are in the planning stage for that.
It's August already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's time to go.
Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
That's what we could have saved the boat for. It's for a
That's
float.
right.
We could have put
Could've
the
made
boat
that
on a float.
Yeah, we'll just have to build a boat around your tractor.
Floaty,
Right.
make the life base, wish it would have worked.
Drive the
Front
boat.
float.
down.
Right.
Boat on a float.
So we need to pick a new date for our planning.
All right,
For
this was
planning.
where it was so tricky last time.
Right.
We don't.
Picking a date for the
Well,
planning meeting.
We had discussion of goal setting and objectives, and of course, we have the planning board chair that had discussed with us that, you know, they've got the master plan committee, the master plan completed, they're talking about implementation. So maybe we would need to do is actually have a brainstorming session with, I don't know if you want to talk about doing that, or just, I think we need to have a meeting specifically to focus on the recommendations from, Division Local Services that they made, you know, a few months ago. And then the one the Collins Center has made for, Public Works and Highway Department. So I'd like to pick a date to talk about those two things. I know you started putting together some metrics. We just need to pick a date, and it's focused on that specific purpose.
I'm pretty available for the next 2 months, so. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
You guys want to do it, do you want to do it an evening after? Or do you want to pick a weekend day where we could start in the morning and spend 2 or 3 hours on it?
Yeah, pretty open to any time except the off Wednesdays that we're not meeting.
Okay.
I mean, what time frame are we talking about? I mean, are we moving into early September or are we still trying to fit it into August?
Well, that's a good question. What's your schedule look like in August? I don't think it's very good, is it?
It's
available.
It's a little
Tight, right?
tight. I mean, yeah, also, yeah, my kids are home just a couple more weeks of this summer, so I guess I'm a little bit like greedy about like giving up a weekend day in August, but
Okay.
but I'm, I'm
Can
open,
we use this meeting,
like,
an agenda item, whether it's, set aside 30 minutes, just
Yeah.
have a, because I think this is gonna, it's not just gonna be one, I mean, we need
Right,
to do a 2-3 hours, which I'm not opposed to. But for the sake of just progress, maybe we keep this until we finalize. our
Break it up to
FY 24 goals, because we're almost through our first quarter of the fiscal year, right? I would like to keep it on the agenda, even old business, as you had there, so we can just to keep it going, but then when we need a working session, we can, I'd even be willing to go run this meeting long, late. So
Yeah,
you could do this meeting for 2 hours, 2.5 hours in an
Yeah.
evening.
my,
All right,
my
well,
problem
no,
is that
let's-
2
you're-
weeks
you're-
from now, I'm
right.
gonna be
Right, right.
coming back. from
Well,
Prague, so-
then let's prepare for our next meeting in 2 weeks. We'll actually be prepared to discuss. I think we need to discuss specifically the Division Local Services study and the Collins Center study for the,
I mean, maybe could we plan to talk about one meeting and then the other, another meeting?
all right, well, then let's, in 2 weeks, let's talk about DLS then.
Yeah, I think DLS is the one I'm gonna start with.
All right, then let's plan that in 2 weeks, we'll put that as the last agenda item. We'll talk about DLS.
That works. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, this was just my thinking, the document, the spreadsheet I sent around. So one thing, I don't think we can do everything in the DLS study in a fiscal year.
Right.
Nor do I think we should try.
Well,
Um,
that's,
And when you start to look at this, what are the criteria? So this is like, it's just a decision matrix, right? What are the columns of the criteria you want to assign to say what's reasonable to be done with? Does it cost money? Does it not cost money? Are there legal ramifications we have to think about? Town meeting need to be involved in some of these changes, things like that.
Yeah,
So that's just the way I kind of thought about it. And Bill, just so you know, I threw some master plan stuff on, like all the zoning stuff, clearly planning board, but you get into like mass dot findings, if there's a highway component, like the highway, they need to do something, that's potentially something that needs to be figured out. How do you schedule that operationally, right? Things like that. So to your point, DLS, highway, or Collins Center
Public
recommendations, public works. But at some point, we also should probably get together with Bill and the master plan.
oh, absolutely.
Team to kind of look at what does that start to look like.
Well, within the master plan, you guys will see it. We're voting on it, hopefully, on it, next Monday. At that point, there's a lot of things in the work to then move to the implementation stage.
Yep.
Obviously, the committee needs, and my suggestion is that several of those people on the committee are members of boards and communities, so the implementation actually happens.
Right, I mean, obvious,
You're gonna need input from planning, zoning, Board of Health. There's strategic things, obviously, select strategic things on the way. Needs to all incorporate together. And I think it'd just be easier to.
and then we ultimately have to bring it to the townspeople because the bylaws are gonna have to be adjusted and voted and
Well,
changed.
That's the biggest thing.
Right.
As the changes we identify, and CMRPC is gonna be a big part of this too. They're kind of gonna guide us through the zoning process. So then we gotta bring it to town.
So prioritization, if we know that in advance before hiring our town administrator, that also is gonna help find specific skill sets we need.
There's also a couple.
Yeah, it would be nice to, someone in that wagon forward.
Yeah, specifically the merging and that's one of the biggest changes. Highway.
Right. So there's three things from the DLS that to me almost immediate needs. Like
Thanks, Billy.
You guys got one?
sort of
All set.
is the budget process, I would expect to be kicking off fairly short soon in terms of planning. So multi-year forecast from a budgeting standpoint, probably needs to be rolled into that. Even if that's David, talking to Jody and saying, get this on your radar, so Wilson starts spinning on how we do that.
Already had a discussion on it.
There's quarterly financial reviews. So that might actually, we should probably put that on somebody's radar. What does that entail? And we get to think, well, what do we want that to entail?
Curious if the finance committee's been mulling over that stuff yet.
I think this is about the financial team here. And they generally report it back to us.
Well,
I think FinCom would be involved as well. But to your point, I think input into what do people expect to see out of a financial review would be, it's almost like requirements gathering.
Well,
Unless there's probably a template out there that might.
one of the things I'd like to do, we had DLS, as you all remember, give us a presentation, but it was a much broader and non-specific when compared to what the Collins Center did. See, what I would like to do is either get that from them, or that's what I would like to develop and really get them, meaning DLS, come back and make some specific recommendations.
Like next step recommendation?
Well, we need to, right, because that's what.
We sent them a series of questions. I'm not sure we ever got response.
Correct. Well, that's my point. And Zach Blake, who actually ran the study, threw that out there that he would be open to come back and would help. And I think what we do is, this is what we're going to talk about in 2 weeks, because I think that's what we're hitting on here is exactly what.
So agreed. And I'd say, so my thing, right, is like waiting 2 weeks to have the discussion on something like this. I was hoping, that David and Jody and team could, I don't think financial reviews are new, right? So and I asked David, from your perspective, is there generally a format that you've used in the past for finance? Because it's like, we can do iterations. We could start with something that maybe you said this has worked well in my previous experience. We get to react to it, but actually have a financial review. Iterate through it, what's missing, what's not, what I like to see type of thing.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like this is like day-to-day stuff. I don't think this
Yes,
is.
well, I'd like to, the person I think would be a good resource for that is Eric Kirchhoff, who actually, who actually fills the role as our town accountant. Because he does this in an awful lot of different.
He's a part of the financial team, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying, but he's an experienced one.
Right, so I guess what I'm looking for right now is, rather than waiting for 2 weeks, do we have an ask to David to say, can we start to get the ball rolling on
Scheduling.
developing this?
So that's
Get
what
to
I'm,
your point.
well, that's what I'm saying is, we have to have him, because we've talked about this a little bit already. So the idea is to have him meet with the financial team and come up with some recommendations we can talk about in 2 weeks.
And the other third thing would be cap plan, because that's in every recommendation we've seen.
Right.
Even if it's, do we
Right.
post something for soliciting capital planning?
Yeah, I think if there's nothing else, and I think, when we talk about, we have this ARPA fund, these ARPA funds, we've already committed some of it to the fire station. I mean, to a new bumper,
Yeah.
to a new truck. We've got this other essentially $1 million that, we were holding for water and sewer, but in the big scheme, it's a drop in
Yeah,
the
it's pretty
bucket.
small.
And I think there are other priorities that we could apply to that. And I think if we had a committee that could look at the priorities and meet with the different stakeholders.
And not even a committee, if we had people willing to do it. So we've
Well-
got 2 volunteers from the ATM that were brought in and signed up.
Yeah.
If you remember correctly.
Yeah,
I'd be
well, I don't know if
willing
I don't know if they actually signed up.
Well,
But-
yeah, I mean, my point is, I'm not sure we need to develop a committee, but we also can do some homework now and start to capture and collect data.
Yes.
Like building inventory, which is another recommendation, which is not cap planning per se, but what are the capital needs, consolidate the information, so when we get a committee together at some point, which may never happen because we're not really lucky. We haven't been very successful in keeping it.
I think we had a committee, but the reason that they stepped back was there was no money to do anything.
Well,
And I
I
think
think
right-
that's part of the forecast and planning. In fact, to be honest with you,
It's all tied together.
I've been working with Jody over the last 3 or 4 weeks that I've been here, and I find that she is an excellent finance director. I've been very impressed with her skill set and the fact that she is doing a good job, and she's thinking along these same lines as you guys are. You know, we are already, in fact, I think it was yesterday, we talked about the capital plan and why we need a capital plan. And if you have a capital plan, how are you going to finance it? You know, you're going to say, all right, we take X amount of dollars out of our free cash every year, and we're going to commit this to the plan.
Right.
In order of a priority. When you establish a capital plan, you assign a ranking in
Sure.
terms of what are the most important needs.
Today to
And
take
some of them are going to be,
cash and stick it to CapEx, right?
some of these are going to be too big
Mhm.
for 1 year, so you're going to have to develop a plan. The other thing that Jody and I talked about was that using debt as debt expires, all of a sudden you've been paying all of this thing and it's going down, it's going down, it's going down. Now you have an opportunity to actually take on new debt
As it-
that won't create a gap.
Right.
So like, you know, she's very much
That-
aware of
that-
it. I think, you know, she's a tremendous
that-
resource.
Sure.
What
And
is that all a capital planning committee needs to feel enabled? It's just funds.
Generally, the way the capital plan works is that you appoint a committee made of certain members. You send out a form asking each department, you know, specifically what their needs are. Other alternatives to funding is something that can be, you know, define the need. Other alternatives to use besides town money, are there grants out there, are there other programs or other services that we can use? Look at the efficiency of the issue and how critical it is. And then you start placing things in years, generally over 5 years, and you build that forecast along the same thing. Cause you know what our revenue is. We're not inventing new products and doing a launch and saying we're gonna raise more money. You know, we know what we bring in the money, you know, through taxes and local receipts and
I mean, I just think the
Local
multi-year cap planning is foundational to implementing most of this stuff that we're gonna start talking about. So getting that foundation in place. And then we're gonna need to expand it to the school district, because they're gonna have debt coming at us. They've talked
that's
about
a big piece too.
that. Right. So, but if we get our piece
And you can bet
in place to
they're
start.
doing a capital plan.
Huh?
You can bet they're doing a capital plan.
Oh, they actually, we're supposed to have one ready, I think, this past spring.
And
And that's just part of their funding request for the upcoming fiscal
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
and their finance director, Jay Byer,
That stands,
yes,
Yeah.
and he was a member of our CapEx committee. And then he resigned because, like he said, that really, what would happen is every year we would, you know, level service fund. You know, and that's how the budget would get set up. And then hopefully in the fall, we'd, you know, if we had
Yeah.
money from free cash, that's how we would do additional things. And it got to the point where we never really had, we didn't have the resource to deal with a lot of the capital expenses.
Yeah,
Um,
actually, that's what the items of my
Yeah.
list to talk about.
All right.
Because I did talk to Ellen, that the board needs to call a special town meeting, and I'd say,
Yes.
well, specifically, most communities, they use it as a way to address certain funding deficits
Yes.
or deficiencies they didn't address
Right.
during the budget period. They use it specifically for zoning and planning articles. And, you know, you keep all the, you know, little projects that can wait until the annual time, or things that are big enough at the annual time.
Yes, if
It's a cleanup meeting,
and
basically.
if you look at the email that she sent out earlier this week about this agenda. There was also a discussion about picking a special town meeting date and open the warrant.
She has a week. that she can do.
And she's not available the week of November 12th to the 18th. And we usually end up always right around Thanksgiving. So we need to pick a date.
I was gonna have that on the agenda.
To the point, tax recap, things like that. We need to talk to Gene and team to see when.
Yeah, that usually get October.
Yeah.
When you have
We
that,
need to-
then you get it, you get it certified, you know. And you get your free cash.
So it looks like
My third and 11.
23rd is Thanksgiving.
Big turnout.
It's not on the agenda, so I don't know if you want to address it tonight.
Well, I would say that I still think it's on old business and setting meeting dates is old business. So I don't think there's anything wrong with us setting a date now.
Are we restricted to? For this meeting, we're not restricted to any days of the week, right? It's not like a Friday after a.
Well,
Right.
usually the way
Yeah.
that works is there's usually, most communities, it's a Monday night or Tuesday night. And then it's a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we don't do, but usually it's an evening, like it'll be like a Tuesday or Wednesday evening is what we pick. So,
So the 21st or the 28th.
So you gotta open the warrant.
we have to pick a date and then we have to vote to open the warrant.
But I'm just saying, once you open it, you're gonna have to have a closing date for the articles.
Yeah, but don't we,
The 21st would be awfully close to Thanksgiving for people who,
Oh, for
like,
travel
some
for the
people
week.
travel like that Tuesday. I don't know.
right,
My preference would be the following week, unless that's too late.
not
28th.
necessarily.
Say, Ellen's away the week.
I'm looking,
before.
I'm trying to find that email
Okay.
again now.
The 16th meeting, do you think that's too late to set this STM date? Cause I think.
Yeah, I think we
I
should,
have,
yes, I think we should set it
Lowell
now.
will be back, right?
I had it on the 16th.
Yeah, she's away November 12th to the 18th.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering about the dates for you mentioned opening, closing of warrants, getting them published, distributed.
Yeah.
Understanding the ins and outs, generally Laura has a lot of good information as to how quickly things get turned around and because she'd be coordinating a lot of that, so I didn't know if we'd want her input. Cause I don't know the dates or the
Oh, I can-
mean time she
The
needs.
the big thing is she has to know the date of the meeting so that she can, do the things that she needs in terms of the voting registration and things like that.
Yeah, so Ellen's not available the 12th to the 18th.
So we're
The
either the
following
7th
week,
or
then
the.
the following week is Thanksgiving. So I would say like we could pick Tuesday, November 28th.
Okay.
So, and plus that gives us a little bit later, gives us that much more time to keep everything.
Cross Ts and.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna look for a motion to set the date of the special town meeting in the fall on Tuesday, November 28th. And also vote to open the warrant.
So moved.
Have a second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. So November 28th.
Back to the deal, the planning
Yep,
too.
yep.
DLS in terms of the study, but I think we should probably, if we could include things like open-ended work. So I think about the next phase of town hall. That's gotta be something we gotta circle back on. So I think we have an architect out there that owes us stuff. And I know folks in the building are wondering what's next. So I think that might be something, there might be some other, if we think of anything that's sort of open-ended right now, that's not complete from the last fiscal year, we should probably bring that on the 16th as well. But I think not hearing from the architect that I believe he's owes us some work. If we.
They're having a punch list tomorrow. They're coming through for, you mean the town hall campus thing?
You talk,
No.
you talk about, see, what we had finished downstairs,
Oh, all right.
Right.
Okay.
if you go through that door to get to the stairway here, that addition that was done, one of the things that when they put the elevator in there, They built it on top of the old well.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
They also, when you look out that back, that stairwell that goes out to this backside of the parking lot over here, that's not ADA compliant. So we need to look at that, and we had actually had enlisted an architect to actually look at the windows, which is a historic thing that would be covered by CPA money, but then also potentially looking at, how we would redesign the back of the building. But, it's significant money, whether we would have the cash, but we actually do have an outstanding action item with this architect about that. And the previous town administrator had talked about having not heard back from him. And we just never more any about it, and you never had the opportunity to meet with her to discuss it. So we need to pick up the piece of that.
So to close out that DLS study is the focus on the 16th, so maybe homework is we all come with we've reviewed the study
Reread the.
and
yeah.
then think about any ideas and what we do, when we do it, things like that. So then it's personally, we might have different thoughts of what can be done when, and we just have that discussion.
Would it be possible before that meeting to consult with town council to get feedback on what can be implemented just as an action of the board and what action needs to go to town? I know we've put some
From
thoughts.
that recommendation.
Yeah, like-
Yeah, we put some thoughts down, but
Charter type of thing.
exactly,
Right.
get confirmation what is what and just make sure that our assumptions are correct.
Like there's all the job description roles and payment scales, all those recommendations, like
Yeah, the
there's a
first-
whole slew of changes in there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that needs to be delegated, but at this point, we need to, again, look at the financial study and the budget process. I think that is and it sounds like you're talking with the finance director, you've already started that process.
We have.
Anyways,
And I think the other thing we've got to consider too is, you mentioned like the highway, definitely is the pay grade assessment. We've got contract negotiations coming up with every union this fiscal year. So, yeah, I think it's like threading a needle on, we may not think it's a priority, but given that we're gonna have CBA opening up agreements, that might be the right time to do it, or not at all, or, you know what I mean? So I think CBA those negotiations are gonna be a year-long thing that we gotta do all these settings, say, do we fill it in, fit it into the cycle?
I certainly wouldn't want to do things twice.
It's.
If
I
we
mean, that
could
highway-
avoid it, then
Yeah,
like,
yeah, absolutely, but I mean, like the highway study. In a few words, they throw out some fairly complex things that require analysis. Our negotiations, et cetera, you know what I mean? It's a feasibility thing for me,
right,
but yeah.
which is why we asked the question about those.
Yeah, and when does the surveyor get hired? What is the surveyor's title? That kind of stuff is.
You have working foreman, what departments?
I'm just saying,
Right.
We haven't picked it yet, so.
Yeah.
So
Right.
about the LS study, you had a bunch of questions, I thought. Is there a chance that we can try and get those answered before our meeting in 2 weeks?
Questions,
Didn't you have that?
Yeah, I sent the previous TA a number of questions, and I know she sent them on, but she had, I have an email where she actually sent me an update saying I haven't heard back yet. But honestly, the questions I have would not, for me personally, I think we should get the answers, but I don't think it would
Okay.
impact this discussion on the 16th.
Okay.
And I can share the question. Want me to share the questions that I sent to Kim?
Yeah.
I think I probably asked them in person. They weren't ready. I said, can you send it to me in writing? Actually, you had a sizable list yourself, didn't you? Yeah.
I'd love to see your questions too then, Brendan.
Your questions will not be excluded.
I often just want to see like case studies of other towns that have done the things.
I think the chair of the FinCom sent questions along too, so I don't know if you want to reach out. See if Mike got any response.
Yeah, let's revisit that all.
Gonna be a long meeting next got also other postponed items.
Honestly, when you look at the DLS study, I don't think it's necessarily a long, it's gonna be, I think we'll probably fall in line saying, yeah, we need to do these things. These are bigger than a bread box. Then it's about figuring out who needs to get after it. And it sounds like some of the things that I looked at said, wow, those are immediate needs. Things, the ball's rolling.
We're already,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
that's correct. Right.
Mhm.
All right. So does that, have we, you feel like we've covered enough of that now?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the town administrator report.
Okay, usually shorter than this. But, I just like to let the board know what I'm been working on and it's this. The board signed the contract for the interim. There was a Scrivener's error on the date when it was prepared by council. I've corrected that, so we just need to re-sign it. The board had already approved to sign that. We had a field visit by the Mass Historical Commission. Representative Ross Deckel met with met us at the property. They require a site visit for the grant. At Schofield, and a number of the historical committee members were there, as well as the architect. And we basically went over what the plan was in terms of the building. We talked about 30B and the process, subcontractors, and discussed timelines and the process that we were going to use to get it done, because that is time sensitive in terms of you have to have their work. You could, if you're doing it as a larger thing, at a minimum, it doesn't make sense to do two separate things. But you're going to have the whole project done by June 30th. I've been talking with Ann Mazar about Green Communities, about the grant that we got for the electric vehicle and the recommissioning of the school. We're ready to close that out. One of the advantages is that that's a reimbursable account. So once you close it out, you get the money back. If the money hasn't been paid out, then it applies to your free cash. You absolutely don't want to do that. It becomes a liability if it hasn't been paid out. So we're going to work towards getting that done. I spoke to Kelly Brown, actually, who's the person I work with in another community, and she is going to be working with Jan Pfizer, who is basically the program director. And she's going to send me what tell me what they need to get that done. Town Hall campus, I signed a contract amendment after speaking to Ian to extend the date to 8/31/23 for Horsley Witten. Made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks. Final punch list is going to be done tomorrow. Striping on Saturday. There's a hydro spray. Sometime they weren't certain if they're going to do it on Saturday or another day. I brought that up as an issue, given that you don't want to be spraying in July and August. It's not the time of year. They said they're just going to do it to set it out. They're obligated to come back at least in the fall, and they're on in terms of the contract. Trying to look for the word. Part of the contract says they own the landscaping for a year. So if anything fails, we can go back to them and they have to come back and repair whatever it is.
He actually asked about the timing, and the way they explained the hydro seed was as much to hold the loom in place.
That's exactly as you said.
Yeah, as was. It's not so much about germination and getting it to grow, but just putting a binder down that actually won't let it erode away. And you can also see that the sand, the polymer sand
has been changed. Yeah. They also been spreading the loom, and they put the signs up, signage in they've been pretty active for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I had a meeting with McClure Engineering on Friday regarding the town hall water system. Carol Laporte, who's a project manager with McClure, said that we had 3 bids. The lowest bid was $4,500 from La Brose. They're recommended by McClure. I told them basically just go ahead and do it. It's a $4,500 project. As long as we discussed, the the three bids, not only in light of how much they were, but also in how quickly they could respond. And the feeling was that they could respond the fastest. Potential holdup could be after the filtration system is put in. How long will it take DEP to finally get back here and test the water again? The system's going to address manganese, iron, and the PFAS. That is a real problem.
Sounds like a heck of a deal.
Actually, I want to throw a thanks out to Dan Byer for both the Conville campus and the water filtration. He's been a very helpful person. He knows what he's doing,
Thanks,
and
man.
he's been great. Interviews tomorrow, highway for the heavy equipment operator. We got 3 candidates. Jen and John have been coordinating that. Been working on the EV charger. I guess it's been out there for a while, and finally, I think within the next week or so, I'm going to be able to have
Working right
it's
now.
working right now. But it's you don't want. All right, okay.
I mean, it
Look
might
off the
be
map
working
today.
right now.
Okay, because I don't want to. Yeah, all right. We've been getting a bill. I just found the bill. I mean, you've been getting charged for that charger, even though we're, you know. The key is we got to coordinate with ChargePoint, and we got to give them what they call the kilowatt hour. That's standard for, our electricity, and then we're going to add like probably 3 or 4 cents onto that. It worked out to be like a charge of like 35 cents approximately. Those aren't exact numbers because we just want to, figure out what we're doing. But that is going to be the next time you use it. It won't be free. Anyway,
That I won't be using.
now it's
Because I pay much less than my home.
So, next few agendas, we got the World Bank contract. We got a 61A notice to remove a piece of forestry land. From it's a small parcel. I did. Johanna Jalbert. She is looking for, it's the land is on 109 Hartford Ave West. It's classified as forest land. She wants to take it out. I've requested an opinion from, or generally when you have 61A, B and forest land, agricultural land, you have a routing slip and you send it to everybody. Does anybody have a need for this property? Here, I was told it was only conservation and planning. I sent the notice out to Carl. Carl had on his meeting, and he sent me back, said you have no need for it. I met with Jack today. He said there's a meeting coming up on the 23rd.
So land use doesn't need to be pulled in on that?
Once again, that this is what I was told,
I would say in generally.
Yeah.
Kind of weighs in.
Yeah. Would also be land use too.
Nice.
Yeah.
In terms of agendas, and this can be optional for the 16th, I think committee assignments, coverage, to the coming year, the meetings are gonna kick
Yes.
off in September.
Yes, I agree.
I think we gotta think about who we're
Well,
coverage on,
there's, and actually 2 other things we need to deal with on the next agenda. One of them is, we have one person on the, who was an alternate for the ZBA, who had not completed the,
Right.
For the ethics training.
yeah, he hasn't completed it now, but the discussion was that, we were gonna open it up and he could reapply. But if there's anybody else, and we need to get that position filled. The other thing is, we have, for the Conservation Commission, we have 2 candidates for the open spot. And the Concom has said that either one of them would be fine with them. But in addition to that, we have 2 openings that exist. We need a conservation agent and we need a conservation admin. To, because there's a lot of filings, a lot of notices that need to go out. And the discussion was, well, they're gonna be the same person or 2 different people. Now, I was just speaking with the HR person. She was hired for 18, I think it's 18 to 24 hours a week. So she could have additional capacity if we needed to give her a few extra hours to do that Concom piece as well. We have to look at the feasibility of that, but we need to deal with that. We also have someone who was hired, who is the new health agent, that was appointed, who's again, part-time. And they could potentially be trained, or we could find somebody else. I reached out to a previous, conservation agent who worked for the town, who left because of some circumstances that have changed now. I'm waiting, she hasn't called me back, so it may mean that she's not interested, but I'm also hoping that she will. So that's something that needs to be on the next agenda as well, is Concom. The Concom, Concom
Appointing the
appointment, we
board
need to
member.
invite the two to have them, both of them speak here.
And like the topic I mentioned, it's nice to have. If it doesn't happen on the 16th, we can push it out. And that's just who's gonna cover school committee, who's gonna cover Board of Health, et cetera, amongst yourselves. Planting the seeds. I wants to cover one. And actually, one other agenda, I know I thought I saw an email. Historic wants to meet with us.
That's been referred to council.
Okay.
So you have, coming up, in September, we have, the board's gonna need to appoint a Mendon Housing Authority member, a resident. We have 2 applications right now. Senior work off program, fall time meeting ahead on here, but we've already done it. Any consideration about the police contract negotiations, because they sent us a letter, probably about 3 weeks ago.
And actually, the two things I've taught, just, it's old business. Our labor council called me. And, typically it's broken up in 2 pieces. There's the money. And then there's the other issues. And how it was handled last time was the police chief and labor council handled the other issues. And came up with a proposal for us. And then, we would look at the money within the budget. So I authorized labor council to go ahead and deal with the police chief, to take that off our plate and deal with, the other issues, scheduling and all the different things that aren't money. So they've, what happened is, they sent a letter to open negotiation, because it doesn't expire until the end of this. So, but I think they want to get it done sooner rather than later, which is great. So I did authorize labor council to go ahead and start that process.
Is it the same, is it Mike still? Or
Yeah.
And
Carl.
one final thing, the MIA grant we had talked about for the FOBs. I've been in contact with the program rep there. That is not an eligible cost. Of focusing on cyber issues and building prevention. It's property based, where like security cameras and things like that.
Isn't that what those fobs are though?
That he told me they're not going to take a fob, and he specifically said they're not accepting applications on fobs.
Well,
He said they had in the past, but they're not doing that anymore.
So I mean, we need AI facial recognition cameras that act like fobs.
It up.
Just saying. Get it covered.
so let's talk to the chiefs and find out what other ideas they
And
have.
I know, John had said something about a camera, so down at the highway
Yeah,
department,
well,
and the fire chief also made mention of some things that they were looking at down there.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you for the update.
All right, I think that's it. Our meeting is 6:30 in 2 weeks. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night. There was one. What's?
Margaret.
No, what I mean is there's a,
Oh, it's a notification from,
Right.
Brendan's, because I sent him.
All right, great.
During the meeting.